Hey, hey. You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute. There we go. There we go.
All right, sorry about that, everyone. How's everyone going? Welcome to the TNA Body Slam post show. Sorry for the delay. I'm joined as always by my good buddy Io. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Enjoying this beautiful Saturday afternoon. It's very nice and warm outside my area in the east. Just grabbed a few sandwiches, chill, relax, wait for my man to get out of work, and here we are. How about you, man?
Same, man. I had to work a little bit as for the last couple of days. Same, I had to stay late for work, but we're here. I'm enjoying Saturday. Yeah, just kicking it back. Good to be here.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh no, you first.
Before we get into everything, you guys, and we have a lot to talk about this week between free agency. We have a lot of great moments in Impact history to discuss, as well as last week's show. Let me just remind everybody that this week's podcast is sponsored by Shroom Bar, the protein mushroom bar. It's made up of not psychedelics, but 4 powerful mushroom adaptogens. It has lion's mane, which increases focus, memory, and neuroplasticity, make it easier to form new patterns and learn new things. Next time you're trying to learn that new move, it might actually stick in your head rather than forgetting immediately. It has cordyceps, which increases VO2 max, blood flow, and overall endurance. It has reishi, which decreases stress. It has turkey tail, which boosts your immune system. And we all know you're gonna need that when you're on those nasty ass gym mats. On top of all that, it has 12 grams of protein. Go to eatshroombar.com and use Body Slam at your checkout for 25% off your first order. Okay. Like I said, there's a lot to unpack in this show, so please bear with us, you guys. We have a lot to get into.
You mentioned free agency. You wanna get that out of the way right now?
Yeah, because I think that's the most.
It's what everyone's talking about right now.
Yeah, I would just say TNA, Anthem, Carlos, whoever opened the checkbook. As of today, apparently, according to Fightful, Andrade is a free agent. I'm trying to pull that up right now. But Andrade is a free agent. He is no longer with WWE. Yeah, let me pull it up. Effective via John Alblin, SI Wrestling.com. I'm reading right now. Andrade was effectively released by WWE. The departure was not a mutual decision and was noted it was not related to budget cuts. The exact nature of the situation not entirely clear. We're not going to get into the semantics of it. All I'm going to say is if I'm TNA, I would bring this guy in because I think that there is a lot that they could do with him. Io, what are your immediate thoughts on this?
Well, this one caught everyone by surprise. Yeah, I'm still looking up some tweets and stuff. So apparently, according to John L, but this was not a contract expired thing or letting go early. Apparently, he was released for reasons unknown still. But at the same time, looking back at his current run, he hasn't really been set in the blaze, setting the world on fire or whatnot. Still, I feel like his previous run is still better than this one. But I mean, to agree, I mean he has some good matches. He got the team with Mysterio at Mania, then the feud with Carmelo, whatnot. But yeah, Andrade, yeah, he's one of those guys, who you put him in the ring with anyone, he's gonna, put on a good show and a good match and performance and stuff. So I can't really say. I mean, I know I said it was kind of shocking, but at the same time, it's not really surprising because we have few luchadors. I mean, the company still has a few luchadors that are still being featured, and it's kind of hard for, I guess, where Andrade plays in and stuff. So, yeah, guess it just didn't work out. So, but yeah, no, a lot of people before we get to TNA, yeah, no, he previously, was in AEW and stuff, and he had a okay run there too. for such and such. I don't know what happened to backstage reasons for led into him leaving AEW, but I know, yeah, obviously AEW fans, there's getting their minds in of whether if you come back there. But anyways, for TNA, I agree with you, and I'm looking at my buddy Mike Gilbert's tweet. Yeah, I think if TNA can pony up the right amounts, I think there's a good spotlight for Andrade to be like a featured Latino star. Because I know we mentioned that no diss on Laredo Kid and no diss on Laredo Kid and the other luchadors right now. But I think we haven't really had like that big attraction Latino talent in quite a while. I guess you could say since Alberto was around. But I think it would be a good place for Andrade. I mean, even if he's there for like a year and a half, or maybe who knows, but or then again, who knows? But yeah, I think personally, I think yeah, it would be a good place for him to kind of be featured. He'll still have matches on all the tapings, all the Impact Plus shows and stuff. So yeah, we're just gonna have to see what they're you um from what I understand, like he hasn't burned any bridges with AEW either. So as we'll see. But we as far as we put our stance. So yeah, it'd be interesting. What we're Andrade goes to next.
You know what? I think with this, especially this time around in WWE, it's not. I don't. I think it's a bit basically a case, and we're seeing it a little bit in wrestling. Well, it's always going to happen. I think WWE is kind of in the middle of their nostalgia chapter right now. I think, and so I think it's very stacked in certain ways and in certain places, and so I think Andrade was on SmackDown, which again that kind of questions everything I'm saying, because you would think that he should be able to be a star of SmackDown. SmackDown, I think, is the weaker of the brands. But yeah, and I believe he was having a good run in the C2 before he left AEW, and so yeah. Him going back there, sure, but I think this is the perfect time for him
or
to.
He can go back. I'm sorry, I was gonna say or CM. I'm sorry, CMLL. Maybe because he has some history there too.
But I think this is the perfect. This is the kind of name that TNA should bring in, because to me it's like less about him being a former name from AEW, WWE. That's not I think that there's just so much left untapped with him, and I think that him in the main event scene in TNA is an easy booking for me. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of the guys in TNA are they're on the older side. Who knows how long they'll be there? Andrade is a good name to bring in. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And he's someone that can fit with all divisions, from the X division, tag division, even heavyweight division. Like Andrade can work all divisions. So.
And that's the thing too that I think TNA does kind of better than anybody. That, like you say, like if he was to come in and like, oh, someone's like, oh, he'll be an X division guy. Like I think some people who don't watch TNA might think that's like a slight, like, oh, the X division sound like the cruiserweight division. They open the show, they're the small guys, but the X division has main evented many shows and is just as important as the world title. So yeah, I think Andrade and TNA is a perfect fit.
Well, that remains to be seen with Andrade. So
yeah.
So before we move on to our review show, so Bird and I decided we want to do a little something fun for the old TNA fan base, the ones who stuck around, knows pretty much some or most of like the history. So we're gonna do like a history rundown of certain matches that has a recent anniversary. For example, two in particular. The Unbreakable 2005 triple threat match between AJ, Joe, and Daniels, and No Surrender 2007. We're gonna run down the trifecta of Kurt Angle's 3 title defenses. Now, Bert, you check some of these matches, right?
Yeah, I had seen. Yeah, I started watching TNA in 2009, so both these matches are before when I started. But I had seen the 2005 Unbreakable match many times. Like, I think that's appointment viewing. Like, I think when I was saying to when I was watching that one recently, because I just watched it back again, I'm thinking to myself, I wasn't watching WWE, but I couldn't think of. I don't think that there's any man. I couldn't imagine any match better, like just comparing the two companies that year than that match, like in WWE. I don't know, if there was, but that match is so incredible. Like, what was that?
No, I agree. Yeah, it was a very as you guys see right here. Yeah, it was a very big match, but also really set the standard of what TNA truly is about. And of course, it's a very influential match. Like, you hear wrestlers still to this day talk about it, even Will Ospreay in particular. So and the thing is, like, what really makes this match very interesting, it's the main event. Like, the world title match at the time was Raven versus Rhino. I know this on them or so, but having this match set this triple threat match being the one to, like, make everyone go home happy was the right call, and it really set the standard, of course, for TNA. So going in, you're saying?
Oh no, I just want to add, you're completely right. Like, the whole time I'm watching this match, that's the two things that, like, I thought of. Like, one, I was like, this is so, like, you could do this match now, or you could tell people this was a modern match, and it's pretty believable. You could believe that just from the fact that you've got a guy like Samoa Joe, who's a guy his size, is moving like the two guys in the ring who are definitely smaller than him. And then just like the move set and the things that you see in that match, you see to this day. And real quick before I pass it back again, I'm sorry interrupting, but I thought that it was a perfect hire to hire Mike Tenay to be TNA's guy, because people remember, like, he was always the one that you would hear during the lucha matches and the cruiserweight matches during WCW. He was the one that knew all the moves. And so to kind of build a company on that style, it was a perfect transition to bring Tenay in. And let me just say, to point out, Don West was so good, because, like, you hear a lot of people nowadays, like, oh, it seems like they're kind of reading off scripts. The whole match, it was Don West reacting to everything he saw. Like, he was all of us. There were things in that match, like whether it was the monkey flip into the Hurricane Rana, just that spiral tap. Like, there were so many things that I had never seen up until that point. So yeah, that was a very influential match.
Yeah, because Don West. He's a very unorthodox commentator. I think that's what kind of separates them from, like, from the JR and King, the Cole and Taz. Like, of course, you have Mike, who just came from WCW. Was doing a commentator, like, during the later final years. But as they call him, the professor, he pretty much, like, knows what everything, the backstory, the play-by-play. And of course, you have the very lovable, funny, unorthodox Don West, who didn't really came from this realm of field. He was a salesman, radio, talk show, and I think that kind of what really is what really set TNA apart. Like, they're very different, unorthodox. And the way these two kind of, like, call it, like, Don, he kind of speaks as how you and I are watching at home, like oh my, like, holy cow, this and that, kind of like and the way he's like, the way Don West is, like, he's not really, like, kind of like the standard commentary, we're wearing the suit and tie. He just wears, like, a button down shirt and jeans, and I think that's what kind of really, like, helped make TNA very a trend-setting brand at the time. And then
But you would think there would be an easy transition, though, because, like, for one, like, everyone kind of says, like, wrestling's kind of like root of old and, like, the carnival type thing. And if I believe right, like, Don West I think he came from, like, a infomercial background. You know what I mean? Like, So there's just something like very, very. It was an easy fit for him. Like he's basically trying to like, you know what I mean? Like he's doing his best to tell the story as as he's watching it. You know what I mean? And the way he's reacting, it's like you said, that he's doing, because we're not all there. You know, we're not on TV, so he's reacting for us. You know what I mean? So yeah. I thought Dominic was very good.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, going into the triple threat match, Joe, who was undefeated, just debuted a few months back. AJ and Daniels, they've been fighting for years, not just from the TNA but from the Indies. So you had really a good mix. You know, AJ being the former champion, Daniels the current champion, Joe the undefeated one. It was a very mix of styles. They had the technical wrestling, the aerial maneuvers. It was very fast paced, very cool counters. Um, a lot of everyone using their best assets and stuff. So when you watch this match, like what really stood out to you in your mind?
Well, my immediate first thought was, why aren't these three in the Hall of Fame already? The TNA Hall of Fame. I get why, especially because there wasn't as much emphasis as there was before in terms of who they brought in. Was kind of like one name a year, and the names that are in there are kind of like the bigger names that they kind of brought in to kind of get more eyes on the product. But yeah, no, I'm watching the three pillars of TNA when I was watching this match. Like these are the three backbones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like like I had mentioned it before. Like you could put this match, you could transport it to today, and I think it holds up. Like you saw a lot of things that you would see in a match, like just going forward to guys who look like Samoa Joe moving like that. That's very like the norm. Like we go from the Attitude Era and before that, not saying guys were stiff, but you definitely had your bigger guys working like bigger guys, your quicker guys, being the ones that move. And there really wasn't any in between, you know what I mean? Sure, some guys could bust out a couple things here and there, like The Undertaker had his dive, but you weren't seeing guys like move like that at that size. So, yeah, this match just, I think, holds up very well.
And the great thing for us, like this was actually the first of their multiple triple threat matches that obviously follow along. They face in Ultimate X, then they face together in other pay-per-views and stuff. Yeah, but for this match, this really the crowd was electric. All three should definitely be in the Hall of Fame, as I think they eventually will. It was the first 5-star match rating, and of course, Daniels just retweeted about this match that he still gets a lot of appreciation and fanfare from fans around this match, and he appreciates it. Yeah, as I would say, as far as Mount Rushmores, you can make an argument those three should definitely be up there, especially AJ in particular. So yeah, if you haven't seen this match, I'm sure. I mean, if you're a new wrestling fan, let's say if you're a new wrestling fan who just kind of looking for a match in particular, go to Unbreakable 2005. You won't be disappointed. All right. You're about to say?
No. Yeah, I think that's obviously wrestling's been around a lot longer than I've been alive. So I'm sure there's obviously matches I haven't seen, but like we could just say like the last like 25, 30 years that I think that has to be like a easily top 50 match. You know what I mean? I'm being cautious because you know what I mean? There's probably a lot of matches people would put ahead of that, but that's one of the best matches of the last 25 years. I could safely say.
Yeah. All right, well, speaking of another anniversary, this pay-per-view just had its 18th year anniversary. This is No Surrender 2007. It is the night that Kurt Angle, who at the time was holding all the every TNA championship, had to defend all three of them in one night. You were around when Angle's in TNA, of course. What set
Yeah.
your mind? What set your mind during Angle's run, and how would you, in your opinion, set it apart from his WWE run?
Well, I always complain. I think this is one of the things I always bring up in our group chat. I always confuse me because I was starting to become a little bit of a lapsed WWE fan towards the end of his run, but I never understood why he. Well, we get why.
Yeah,
Politics.
we know
I
the
never
reasons.
understood why he wasn't. I never understood why he wasn't the top guy in WWE. But he, to me, and again, this isn't a new statement. Everyone, I think a lot of people think this. To me, he just felt like the guy in TNA. I think I think he just came out and said that his run in TNA is better. He thinks it's better, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. I thought he was the man in all three of these matches. Like, Kurt's a machine. You know what I mean?
It was no convincing. Like within a year, he won the world title at Slammiversary, then won all the titles. It's no coincidence. He became the top heel. I mean, for the first few years of TNA, the top heel was Jeff Jarrett, obviously at the time, and then that transition to Kurt Angle. So yeah, it was no secret he was going to be the face as soon the moment Kurt Angle walked in the door, and we'll have some of his. Obviously we're going to talk a lot about Kurt Angle, but yeah, for this one in particular. So yeah, he did had all the titles. Tag champ, X Division champ. I know X Division champ, right? Crazy. And then the world title. So first he was defending the tag titles with Sting, a very cool dream team there, going up against a very interesting tandem of our very own
Yeah.
our very own Ron the True Killings, aka our and former NFL football player Adam Pac-Man Jones. You're familiar with Pac-Man?
Yes.
He played. Yeah, he played for the Cincinnati Bengals, correct?
I also think that he had a run with the Cowboys as well, but I believe he was drafted to the Bengals.
All right. So yeah, this was. I remember this vividly. It was kind of strange, I could say, because you have this guy. Here's what's messed up about this. Here's what's messed up. So he was suspended. Yeah, he was suspended from the NFL for some amount of reasons. Then TNA, comes up. Figure they can, capitalize on the mainstream attention, bring him to TNA. But he's not allowed to compete. Like literally, like there's an NFL room. Apparently, if you're gonna have Adam Pac-Man Jones in TNA, he's not allowed to get physical with the talents, wrestle, whatnot. So looking back,
So
like
that wait,
you're
that
kind of
was
thinking
the
like,
thing. Sorry. Oh, that was a real. Cause I remember hearing that. So that was he wasn't allowed to get physical at all.
correct.
Okay. Damn.
So you're
okay.
thinking like, why the hell you paying him? Why the hell you bringing him or paying this much money?
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, he quickly partners with our truth. Ron the True Killings at the time, and next thing you know, they are on the pay-per-view and they get the tag title shot. So obviously, yeah, we mentioned, since Pac-Man couldn't do much, obviously Truth was going to do most of the work, and for the time being, it became sort of like a handicap match. Truth, Angle, and Sting. And going into, of course, going into this match, Angle and Sting kind of had like some trust in. I mean, of course, like Sting, being the wiser, noble legend he is, like he's not gonna like, give his full trust to Angle in some sort. So, but yeah, for the time being, it was a very quick, short, 10-minute match. Towards the, then of course towards the finish, Karen Angle, Karen Kurt's wife at the time, was coming down to the ring, and then Sting earlier he didn't want her getting involved, but she then come getting involved. Told the referee to take her away and stuff, and then of course Karen comes back, and then run as soon as uh Sting was obviously telling her to leave. Karen then slaps him, and then somewhere along the line, like it looks like Sting was pointing towards her to leave, and then Karen drops on the floor. The commentators Don and Mike were thinking like, did he hit her? Did he hit her? Da 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 and stuff. So role switch. Sting gets the tag, and then Angle went to go check on his. You remember some of this match, right?
No, yeah, I went. I did go back to all three of these.
All right.
Yeah, no, this match was.
Yeah, this was pretty much the main thing out of this tag match. So yeah, Angle go checks on Karen. Karen tells Kurt that he Sting slapped her. Angle being rage hits Sting with the Angle slap. Funny thing, all right, so Pac-Man finally gets the tag. Of course, we were thinking like, oh, like he's gonna tussle with Sting. Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nope. And then Angle with the Angle slam on his own partner. Pac-Man Jones gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. New tag champions, Pac-Man and Truth. So that Sting Angle tandem didn't last, but as we know, it was the lead to their very famous Bound for Glory match. So your thoughts on Pac-Man and Truth winning the titles?
Well, first off, let me just say, anyone going back to Don West, anyone who questions his, what he's doing there, the first thing he says in this match, which I thought was very astute, he just lays out, Kurt probably wants Sting to do most of the work in this match, which, yeah, I thought the same thing. Kurt's got 3 matches, have Sting go out there and do most of the heavy work. It was interesting, this is one of the first few times I've seen a happy Kurt and Karen. As you know, if you're a TNA fan, you watch their they kind of brought their divorce to TV.
That's for another interesting convo.
I thought again. I think Sting's 48. Sting, and what's crazy, Sting wrestled till he was 60, 65. Sting was 48 at this point. You know what I mean? Still looking good. You could say this was Sting's 4th run. You know what I mean? He would go to have many more. Yeah. I thought this was, not knowing the whole Pac-Man thing, it kind of makes sense now because the whole thing was him not wanting to get physical. Truth kept trying to tag him in. I thought Kurt looked really good, obviously, and the way that they presented him the whole show, I liked the little keys to the match. TNA kind of laying out the Angle trifecta. This was the first of 3. Yeah. I just have a question. Before we go on to the next match, and I don't want to get too into this, but part of me did think the whole time, I get why TNA fans are upset R-Truth didn't come back, because I don't think a lot of WWE fans even know this Ron Kill. You know what I mean? Like I'm sitting there watching him, and I'm going, God damn, you know what I mean? A TNA run would have been so good. You know what I mean? Because he still moves so well. Obviously, he's not this young, but God damn, he was great in TNA.
He looks young, but he looks young. He looks young, as they say. He's ageless, but he's getting up there.
Yeah, he just was so much more of a serious, like, taken seriously the way they booked him in TNA. You know what I mean? It's a shame.
Yeah. All right. Well, next to a very very popular match that folks are still talking about, the biggest upset in TNA history. Next we have, for the X Division Championship, Kurt Angle defending against Black Machismo Jay Lethal. Now, Bert, you've known Jay Lethal for time. What is your what do you think about Jay? As you know, from then to now, he's he's a very underrated, underappreciated talent. Like the franchise, a Ring of Honor, then he was Black Machismo, he was the Black Machismo character, paying homage to Randy, and then some very cool moments in TNA, obviously the famous woo off with Ric Flair and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what do you think about Jay?
Yeah, I was always a big fan of Jay. Obviously, he got more time to shine in Ring of Honor, and his earlier stuff, Black Machismo, was before, again, like I started watching. But he's just one of those guys too that I think that, despite like who they were trying to have get over, like he got over despite, you know what I mean, like maybe what they had planned, or if not necessarily like they wanted him to get over. But yeah, I thought he was very underrated, is the exact word I would use for Jay Lethal, especially in TNA.
Yeah. And so going into this match, obviously Kurt was going to underestimate Jay, being the young up and comer. Figure, he's gonna retain this title easily and stuff. This match, if you look at like the saying, no limits, no weight, no late. Sorry, not about weight limits, no limits. This match is very, very perfect example of that, because Angle, he brings the amateur background, very ground game, submission base, and then Jay Lethal, the young, high flyer and very speedish. So this was a very very interesting blend of mix, and they had a very good 20-minute match. And I mean, Jay Lethal, yeah, he really brought it to Kurt Angle. Yeah, he countered with a lot of his offense reversals. Of course, I mentioned Angle had the grappling suplexes, and of course to the turning point where Kurt was going for the ankle lock. Jay reversed it, and then to surprise roll up 1, 2, 3. And kudos to Mike and Don. They're commentating. I think their surprise reaction, especially Don, they really made this match, because like it really, really set the tone of like this was like the biggest upset for TNA. And of course, setting the tone for Angle's match later, a third match later, because like he lost 2 matches. But yeah, this match really put over Jay Lethal with 100%.
You're so spot on, and the thing you mentioned about Don, especially Don, because after the match you hear Don say, I know there was a chance, but there's no way I believe that Jay Lethal was gonna like beat Kurt. You know what I mean? And between that and Kurt's facial expressions are top notch. Like you believe like the way that he sold getting beat, like. He was in utter dismay. You know what I mean? Like it reminded me a little bit like with his like stuff with Ray. You know what I mean? Like he's so cocky going into the match, and he sells being foiled, I think, better than any. You know what I mean? Like better than a lot of people do. So he gets it. So yeah, it was really cool seeing Shark Boy. I believe Petey with hair.
Sanjay.
So was Sanjay in the middle of his guru gimmick?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a great promo with him and Don West from that. I kind of like that gimmick. Yeah, no, this was really cool. You believed it, yeah. And you still hear that upset talked about in TNA like lore. So
yeah. And last we have the trifecta. Angle went to defend his third title later on against the Monster Abyss. And I know when folks talk about Angle and Abyss, they're going to talk about their famous match a year later. Yeah, Turning Point 2008, which hopefully we'll talk about later someday. But yeah, this one was not too bad either. Abyss, Abyss, he was on the run, having a good run. He just feuded with Christian Cage. He got rid of James Mitchell. So yeah. Abyss obviously going in, he had all the advantage because Angle just wrestled 2 matches and stuff. But or Angle being the competitive Olympic gold medalist himself, wasn't gonna back down from a big 7-foot monster. So this was very interesting. This was a very interesting clash of styles. What do you think about Abyss? Of course, he's a Hall of Famer, great career. Like, how you feel on Abyss?
Real quick, before we, I just wanted to add, before this match, because I was fast forwarding to this show. Let me just tell you the low light I saw of this show, and it was it was a promo with a guy named Black Rain.
Yeah.
I could not stop laughing about this.
You know who that is,
We
though,
go
right?
to, we go to Jeremy Borash, and it looks like almost what is the basement of wherever they're at, and you see Black Rain, and he's got a rat with him, and multiple times he keeps referring to it as an Arctic fox. And the way that Jeremy Borash was like, "Well, it's a rat." I was dying. I never saw any of. For those who don't know, Black Rain. We're saying,
no, continue.
No, I was saying for those who don't remember, Black Rain, the formerly Gold Dust, obviously Dustin Rhodes in AEW. I never saw much of this, but I was dying watching this promo. Like I was laughing the whole time.
Yeah. I remember Black Rain. Yeah, that whole rat in the cage.
Yeah.
Two different persona. Yeah, it's a very interesting character. Dustin himself doesn't want to revisit, but well, here in TNA we'll gladly. So yeah. It was
this. What now? I'm sorry. What were you saying? No, what were you saying?
I was saying this is yeah, at the time, yeah, this was a very odd character. You know, like he also teamed with this monster character named Relic, which is kind of killer backwards. Yeah, you know, TNA being TNA at the time.
Yeah,
I think TNA
exactly.
being TNA at the time with these interesting monsters. You know, I guess they brought these guys in to figure a way to take down Abyss and stuff. But I digress.
So yeah, so this match, let me just say, I think people don't put enough respect on Abyss. You know what I mean? Like you'll get the lazy Kane comparisons, and again, I say to that, it's like, you know, there's only really so many masks, and I also say to that, like, why aren't we calling Ric Flair a ripoff? You know, he wasn't the first Nature Boy. You know what I mean? Hulk Hogan stole a lot from Billy Graham. It's like I think people kind of pick and choose, but like I would also say to that I think Kane, I think Abyss was a lot better than Kane ring wise. You know what I mean? I'm not talking promos and here, but this match was very good, and what really stood out to me was especially the kind of whole theme of the match. I think Kurt reminds me a little bit, and it really hit me this match. Kurt reminds me a lot of Brett in terms of he was really working that leg, and then you see towards the end with Kurt, and it played to the finish, ripping off Abyss's boot, and the way Dawn was just selling, like, and you know when Kurt goes to the floor with the ankle lock, it's usually over.
Yeah.
Like, it took, you know, like Abyss didn't tap out as much as that he just kind of, it basically almost passed out. Like, he had nothing he could do. But yeah, Kurt is such a technician. And real quick, was that the IWGP belt Kurt had as well?
Correct.
Yeah, it's a great fucking looking belt. Yeah, no, Kurt is very good at making you believe what you're watching is real.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that there's a lot of them that ever, and I'm not even talking about now, I just think Kurt's very good at that, like making, because you hear people nowadays all talking about not telling stories or not, whatever. Kurt was out there and he was trying to demolish that leg to get play to the finish. So yeah, this was good shit.
Absolutely. That was the game plan going in. Take down the monster, going after the legs. And Abyss fighting through the pain, towards the end with the ankle lock. And what I like, I like when certain submission holds are like for that long, because it really tells the story of like this guy's fighting as much as he can. Like he's holding on. Can he get to the ropes? Can he fight it off? And for this one, Abyss could only take as much pain. But yeah, this was a very of course, this was one of their many battles later, as we'll get into another time. Yeah, this really put Abyss over in a way like he can hang with a great as Kurt Angle, and of course Kurt, showing that at this stage of his career he can still go, especially with the young guns. So yeah, this was a very good match, good main event too.
And Abyss again. Abyss is another one that you could say is one of those guys that could be ahead of his time because guys like that were not always moving like that. You know what I mean? Of course, there were guys like Vader who were a big man, Bam Bam, who moved, but like Abyss, you know what I mean? Like at the time, still like there were not everyone at that size was moving like that. So
Yeah. 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 So this was a very good retrospective rundown, don't you think?
yes, very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Look forward to doing more of these later on. All right. So ready to get to last Thursday's rundown?
Yes.
All right.
Why don't you start us off with this one?
All right. So we kicked things off last Thursday's Impact with a very good match I've been looking forward to. Two heavyweights, former NFL players. You got Moose taking on AJ Francis. Before the match, Mustafa Ali came down, joining commentary. This was a very good opener. Both guys, showing their athletic ability. Showing this is a great way for both guys to show their athletic ability. Moose being the great, athlete he is, and of course, AJ getting to show, his athleticism. Um, Also, it was good, Mustafa was on commentary. He was berating Moose and the system, saying that, of course, like they're the new him in order for the new, they're the new big dogs in town. It's time to run down the old watch system, da da da, and stuff. So yeah, this was a good opener. What you think?
Let me just say, going back to what you just said, this whole match and with the commentary and Ali, it kind of reminded me of the things that you would see during the Attitude Era, just in terms of, you know what I mean? A lot of people think that like guys could work back then. That's not necessarily true. Like, but you had a good match in the ring, but you also had someone on commentary, and just because he was on commentary and that was a big deal, it didn't take away from the match. And anything that stood out to me that reminded me of this is just like the way Hannafan and Ali were like, dude, I think Rare Wall and Hannafan are the best commentary team in wrestling. Hannafan was just like going at Ali, like talking about how they rolled out the red carpet for him. Like, oh, and then Ali kind of answers back saying, oh, and then Tom's like, oh, you guys are jealous of Order 4. He's like, what have Order 4 done? And then my favorite part of this match, and this is why Ali is probably one of the best heels in his whole gimmick. The crowd's chanting Moose, and Ali's like, no, they're saying Mustafa. Mustafa. I'm like, God damn, that's brilliant. Like, that's really, really brilliant. Like, he was so good. And, like, again, Ray Walt plays the perfect kiss-ass heel. You know what I mean? But Hannafan was just, like, going at him. And also, this match was this was better than their first match between because then Francis and Moose have a match when they were in Baltimore.
Attack. I think they had a tag match.
Okay,
but it wasn't in Baltimore. I think. Do you mean the one where Francis and Trek versus Moose and Eddie?
maybe that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a great big man, and also I think AJ was in the Seattle Seahawks color gear. I think that's who that was inspired to. This was a great match, and also, we're talking about, you don't need a match shouldn't require a title to be for you to care about it. This is one of the best storylines in TNA right now, and it's kind of funny how you have all these groups intertwined. You know what I mean? AJ, you got the kind of the system feuding with Order 4, but AJ and Trick are kind of involved in that. You know what I mean? Like, this was really good. This was a really good opening match.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, Mustafa, couldn't help himself. He had to interfere. Fortunately, it didn't work out for him. He drop kicked AJ by mistake. Yeah, Moose gets the spear. 1, 2, 3. And after the match, Moose gets on the mic, challenges Mustafa to a match at Victory Road. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, because I don't know if we've gotten that. I don't think we've gotten that singles match yet, and yeah, I'm very excited for that one. I think that's one of the marquee matches already for that show. I think Moose is very he's kind of a controversial name these days, but Moose kind of reminds me of Brock in a way that he works really well with the smaller guys. You know what I mean? I think when you put him in one of those with the smaller guys, I think the matches are better. I'm not saying this match was bad because AJ and him are similar size, but yeah, I think Moose is very good with working with the smaller guys. We've seen it with Leon, we've seen it with him versus guys from the Rascals. But yeah, I think this will be a very good match.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's just move on. After this match, we transition to real quick with a system promo with Gia, and I like just basically this, and I like how they mentioned JDC, who I don't know if anybody saw JDC. I believe just got married, so that kind of explains to you why he was written out of TV. But you kind of hear them in kayfabe talking about they're down a member. You know what I mean? Each guy gets to speak, plus Alicia, who I thought closed it out very well. But yeah, this was a fine promo.
Yeah, this was a good way to kind of uplift the system. They're down a guy. Order 4 has been getting the upper hand. Yeah, this was a good segment to prepare for their main event.
Okay. Next, we move into what I think is always an entertainment segment. We go to the treehouse. Laugh track and all. We got the boys kind of talking. This was very funny. They're almost doing this like who's on first type bit with Jake something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought this was very funny. And I don't know. Obviously, kind of the bit is very that 70s show with the smoke in the air. You know what I mean? Like it's very funny, and it's good to kind of have the whole crew back. Like this was funny. Think about this, Io. Io. All right, we'll quick. We'll wait for Io. Let me just I thought it was very funny. Trey says after Victory Road, Leon's gonna cry in the car. That made me laugh a little bit. But yeah, no, like I said, it's great. Yeah. It's great to see the boys back.
Sorry, my computer was gonna die. Yeah, this was a good, interesting treehouse segment. I like the all three of them really. I like how all three of them really talked about the fatal 4-way. Myron feels like he has something to prove. Trey being the former 2-time champ. Zachary, the one who brought the X-Men title to a WWE PLE. This is a very very entertaining treehouse segment. All right, next we have Joe Hendry versus Eric Young. Of course, you're back.
I was too. Sorry, buddy.
All right. I was saying next we're going to Joe Hendry versus Eric Young, where Joe, Joe and EY have been beefing. So EY, cut in the promo, trying to distract Hendry. And then comes Travis Williams. So EY kind of duped us. So instead of him versus Joe, it's Travis versus Joe. It was a very, very short match. EY and Icarus got kicked out. And, Joe was able to get the upper hand, hit him with the standing ovation, 1, 2, 3. But the bigger picture was what happened after the match. EY being frustrated, as usual. He goes for the pile drive. He at first he attempted to pile drive Travis, but then he yeah, he asks Icarus to attack him. Icarus, of course, he didn't want to. That's his partner and whatnot. But then, EY decided to attack Icarus. Then he pile drives both Judas and Travis. So, your thoughts on the match and what happened after?
Okay, at first, let me just say this was a good match in terms of what it was. I did like the swerve with Eric Young putting in Travis instead of him because, well, I'm just going to go right to what happened at the end. I don't think in any way this means that the Sinner and Saint, Travis Williams, Judas Icarus are out of the group. I think this plays into the part that, almost like you see with other, like, not like cult type gimmicks, but like, he's putting them through the same thing he's trying to put through everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, he's trying to see if they're almost like worthy. You know what I mean? The cleanse. Yeah, and I think it also plays in this EY, old man EY, just kind of snapping gimmick. Yeah, Matthew Smith is right. Yeah, Young went crazy, but if that's what we want to see, that we want to see, that's Eric Young at his best. I do think we will get Eric Young versus Joe, especially if we're getting to, I think that's going to be Joe's last feud. Because Eric kind of sending him away from TNA, and then Eric Young kind of being able to claim that hypothetically that is the last match. I think that's kind of a big thing. You know what I mean? Seeing he rated the TNA world of Joe. Yeah, I really do like this because I think I didn't want to see this match. I didn't want to see Eric Young get beat by Joe already. You know what I mean? So, and again, I can't preface this enough. I don't think we should give up on the idea of Williams and Icarus. I don't think that they're getting buried or they're done with them. I think this is all part of a bigger plan.
Yeah, we'll see. Some think this might be the end of the Northern Armory. But yeah, hopefully, I mean, if what happens, hopefully, it works out for Icarus and Travis because I think they are a very good team. I know our buddy Gerard, keeps mentioning like they should be booked more or featured more as a tag team. I'm sure they will, eventually once TNA pass size, with the move size from the Hardys, but that's for another conversation. So yeah, EY, this whole cleanse thing. Yeah, they halted the Hendry AY match for a reason. I think they're gonna move it towards probably Bound for Glory or whatnot. I guess we'll see to then.
I just think people got to have a little bit of patience because the Great Hands, who I compare them to just in terms of booking comparisons, I think the Great Hands were there and has been a team a little bit longer, and I think that they were in the same place. Like, I think next year, especially with the potential of the Hardys being gone, you're going to see Williams and Icarus is probably one of those core teams along with the Great Hands. You know what I mean? This is what, again, you know what I mean? Also, too, it's like you got to give. They're not going to make everybody a main eventer day one. You know what I mean? People got to have patience.
Right, because they're still young. They haven't really they're really new to like the TV realms of wrestling. So
exactly.
Yeah, and of course we're gonna need teams like them. As I mentioned, once once the Hardys, the Hardy Party, is done with and stuff. So
exactly,
we'll need teams like them, the Great Hands, First Class, the System, and whatnot. So yeah, folks got to be patient.
Okay. Next, we're going to go into, and yeah, exactly, Io, you're completely right on that. Next, we're going to go just a quick Matt Cardona promo. I don't agree with everything Matt Cardona says, but him talking about how no one likes Ryan Nemeth, that made me laugh. You know what I mean? This is a fine, quick promo. Yeah, I didn't think it was much.
Yeah, just Matt giving a warning to Ryan Nemeth, don't get in my business, which I'm likely to think that he's going to get into his business again. I'm glad they're at least finding new stuff for Cardona, because obviously he's still a free agent. I mean, he's still he's still a freelancer free agent. So yeah, it'd be interesting to where this goes. Is him and Nick Nemeth gonna rekindle their rivalry? I guess we'll see.
Okay, before we get into this next segment, let me just ask you: when you were watching this, well, let's just get into it. We're gonna get into the Victoria. We're gonna get into this Victoria Crawford segment. I'm not gonna flat out say this is the worst segment in wrestling I've ever seen, because that would be close to hyperbole in terms of, you know what I mean. I'm exaggerating there, but this is up there. You know what I mean? This was bad. I think you could say, yeah. Let's start us off with this one. What'd you think of this whole thing?
I was just kind of like, yeah, you guys, like, what is this about? You know, Victoria, aka Alicia Fox. What's she doing here? She hasn't really been on the show in a long time. She has the same. Oddly, she has the same speaker that I'm using right now. Hers was pink.
Okay.
So I noticed that quickly. So yeah, she calls out Gia Miller, and then I figure, okay, yeah, this is where I know where this is lean to and stuff. So yeah, Victoria asks Gia to come meet with her at the ramp, basically blaming Gia for her friend Tessa Blanchard being suspended. You know, sitting at home, not working, and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, Victoria has short-term memory because Tessa did that on herself. But credit to Gia Miller, she stood her ground. She wasn't gonna, as she mentioned, she's not putting up with any more BS from Tessa and Crawford too. So yeah, Gia let Crawford know that Tessa is the reason why she's suspended and and yeah, before things got heated, Jody Threat came to the defense of Gia and kind of short that down. But yeah, it was to add to your statement, it was kind of very cringe. Um, I like Alicia Fox, but every time she's on the mic, you just kind of like want to like put your head down, put your nose and head down. It's like, oh my god, why is she talking? She was from her time. She was a decent wrestler. She was a decent wrestler, but she hasn't really been living up. Of course, notably to the one of the worst matches in TNA this year, her versus Indy Hartwell, that our good buddy Mike Gilbert likes to bring about and stuff. So, yeah, what was your thought on this whole Gia Miller Victoria segment?
The one thing I do like, and I don't know if this is by design or I'm just looking more into it, but I feel like because when Gia is more of a wrestler on the indies, I believe, I think she speaks with more of a southern accent, if I remember. And there were points in this bit when she was getting angry, she started residing. I mean, going back to that kind of character, because she doesn't speak with really a southern accent in TNA. Because I think the goal is that she's going to be a wrestler in TNA. I think that's where they're going. I would presume she's going to have a match with Tessa eventually. I would think. I don't know how. I haven't seen anything about that.
I think it's leading to that, whether it's a singles or a tag. Tessa and her are definitely going to continue on their feud. And for those who follow Gia Miller, she does a lot of independent stuff on the indies, whether it's manager, valet, sometimes wrestler. So she's not afraid to take bumps, and no stranger taking bumps. So it's going to be interesting how they kind of pay this off between her and Tessa. Obviously, Victoria is going to get involved in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. But in the meantime, yeah, thankfully Jody Threat came to Gia's defense. So we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah. I definitely think Gia was the shining grace of the segment, and we will definitely see. Hopefully, I think that's where we're leading. So hopefully this doesn't happen again. But again, we'll take it as a one-off. Okay. Next, we're going to move into what I think is the match of the night. It was the Fatal 4-Way, Jake Something versus Trey Miguel, Zach Wentz, and Myron Reed. I thought this match was incredible just because, and you had Leon on commentary, just the way that he was very good on commentary, noting, Jake's a beast. The Rascals need to work together. But I thought that this was great because they found a way to, and obviously we know Jake lost, they found a way to make Jake look strong in defeat. And that should always be the goal when you are booking a match, that you should not just have the winner get over. This was so good.
Yeah. Shout out to Slater. Yeah, he did really good on commentary. Very very play by play ish. Speaking on each individual and what they bring. We mentioned earlier, this match, it's how it's played out. Yeah, you have the three Rascals working against the big Jake Something, doing their best to take him out. Focus on the three of them, and it took a while. Yeah, it took a while. A lot of Hurricanrana super kicks, tope torpedo. No, some dives. Yeah, some dives. To take the big man out, but then could we kind of focus towards the three of them? Then you figured this. Yeah, this was probably interesting. Like what would it look like? If a Rascal member going up against another Rascal member, minus Wesley for. So it's interesting. Oh yeah, shout out to Trey. You noticed some new ink on his back, new tattoo. He just came back from a hernia injury. Going in, yeah, anybody. Let's be honest, anybody could have won this match, and I don't think anybody would have had an issue because each individual brought something, and of course, Jake Something, got back into the fold, being the powerhouse, took down everyone, shock treatment, power bombs. I like how he swatted Trey when Trey did the handspring attack, and then Jake, kind of swatted him. That was a good one. Yeah, good, very good. Yeah, very good pace match. Towards the finish, Wentz went for the UFO finisher, the springboard cutter, as he was going to get the pin. Trey pulled him out, and then when Trey tried to get back into the ring, Wentz pulled him out, and then out of nowhere, Myron with the 450 splash, 1, 2, 3. Gets 450 splash on Jake, 1, 2, 3. Myron becomes the number one contender. Very good match. What did you think?
Yeah, I like the dive spot in the match when all three guys, the Rascals, try to dive and it couldn't get Jake off of his feet. I think this result should make everyone happy because I don't know. I think me included always kind of wonder what's Myron's status with TNA. Well, this seems like we got a big push coming. You know what I mean? This is a big time match. Like Victory Road is already shaping up to be. Those are two, marquee matches already. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy Myron won. This was a good way to really kind of see what he can do on his own. I knew that once Trey got back, we were kind of wondering, okay, how does Myron fit in? As far as because he's no offense, he's the lesser known Rascal besides him, Wentz, Trey, and Wesley. So this is a good opportunity for him to kind of show us TNA fans, what he's capable of doing on his own. And I know what Myron Reed's all about. Yeah, former MLW middleweight champion. Very very unorthodox type of wrestler. As you see in the way he moves and that flame out move he does, cutter outside the ring. Yeah. So this is a match I've been very looking forward to for a long time. Him versus Leon Slater is going to be they're gonna knock it out the park.
Yeah. Yes. Completely agree. If there is no world title match that night, I would definitely have. Well, I think we're going to need Masha versus Ash, but I would definitely have this main event. They'll probably go with the women's match, have this open. But yeah, this is what I would have main event, just because I think this is going to be an instant classic. Okay. Next, we're going to go into, which I thought was a very well booked kind of situation. First, we had Heather by Elegance taking on Jessie McKay. And I thought this was a very, very solid match. Good shit back and forth. It led to, Heather was able to get the win with the help of, the Elegance brand. But then that led Santino to come out and make to make M versus Cassie, where Cassie got the win. And the reason I'm okay with that is because at least you showed Heather getting the win first. Because we go back to the time when the Knockouts division was a little smaller. You'd see the champs kind of lose in matches like this, in singles matches. So at least this time it made sense for the challengers, non-champions, to get one of the wins. So I was okay with this.
Yeah, this kind of served both sides. The Elegance brand. Oh yeah, number one, congrats to the Elegance brand. As of today, they're now the longest reigning female Knockouts tag champions. Still, EY and ODB with the 400-day reign, but no one's kind of breaking that anytime soon. Shout out to Datala. Yeah, she just mentioned they should break.
Oh, real quick, Dante is complete. So sorry, go. What were you saying now? Sorry.
No, I was reading they should break Young and ODB's record. They got a year to go, but we'll see.
Let me just say, as soon as they said that, because I always forget about that, they really kind of need to have a team do that, just so we don't have to hear that stat anymore. Because that was kind of when they were phasing the belts out. They kind of became a joke. So they really need to. I'm surprised they haven't done that yet, because there have been some dominance knockouts teams before since they brought the belts back. Yeah, Dachi is right. They got to have the Elegance brand should do that.
Yeah, I mean, if any team can do that, reach 400 days, it's probably them. But these two matches, this was a good way to it pleases both sides. The Elegance brand, they're on a roll. Obviously Ash being the new Knockouts champion, but still, there's still contenders lining up for the tag division. You got the Inspiration, who's on a roll too, on their side. I like Heather getting the win first, due to some interference from M. And then, of course, Santino makes it Cassie versus M. This was kind of the better match out of the two. Both ladies showed some good offense. Yeah, some very very good stuff. I like for the Inspiration, like they're getting to show what they can do in singles. Because I'm sure, for many of us, we haven't really seen them much in singles aspects for some time, between WWE and here. So it was a good way to kind of like show, what both ladies can do on their own and stuff. So this match in particular, Cassie, she really had a good showing here. And of course, Heather got involved, Jessie got involved. I like when Jessie, Ray Wall being the cocky himself, saying that Jessie shouldn't be in this match, and then Jessie heard that, and then she told him to shut up. That was funny too.
You know what's funny too? I believe during the match, like Hannafan said the names wrong, and like Ray Wall corrected her. This whole thing was. Everybody was brilliant in this whole thing, and then going to the promo after, like Iceman complaining, like basically saying like, "Oh, like they just had a match." Like Iceman plays his role so well, you know what I mean? Like, Dottie, if not the Elegance brand, who, because they alluded to like the group hasn't got the Knockouts gold this quickly. I think they really have something with this group. And And despite, I wouldn't take the titles off any of them. And despite, Ash not having some haters out there, I think this is the top group in the women's division in TNA. So I wouldn't take the titles off of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we're going to move. What do you have?
Oh no, I was gonna say Cassie gets the win. So it's kind of 1-1, and of course it leads to the Santana segment, which we'll talk about later.
Okay. Are we not at the main event yet? Or did I write on my notes cut off?
The Santana. Santana was supposed to have a match. You want to talk about that? Right.
Yeah. Oh yes, Trick attacked him, which again, they're doing wonders with Trick because
kudos to Raywald and Hennepin noticing that. Like I didn't spot that. Like they just sort of like who was that? And then I saw like someone taking off a hoodie or jacket. I think like, oh yeah, that's Trick. And then this was a good way to build up towards the Bound for Glory match between the two. Trick, being the heel, saying that he wasn't going to show up to TNA until Bound for Glory. That was a lie, obviously. So both guys got into it around. Both guys got into it, until security, got involved. Yeah, this was a good way to kind of like really show that Trick, he's capable of doing he's capable of doing anything to get the upper hand. And of course Santana, he's not too shy of coming down to NXT to getting Trick's head. So this was a very good way to build up towards the match. What do you think?
And like we have a long way to go to BFG, so they have to do what they can and creatively to keep this feud hot without having. We're not gonna have Trick on TV every week in matches. Same with Santana. You know what I mean? We got to keep this feud special. So I like stuff like this.
Mm-hmm. Same, very very unpredictable.
Yeah. I feel like I didn't write this down, but I'm also think I'm missing. There was a very good Steve Maclin promo, if I remember right.
Oh yeah, Maclin promo, and then the Jake something Frankie Kazarian one.
Yeah, real quick on both those. I think Steve Maclin has kind of showed that because he was talking about Kazarian, ripping into his military career, and I don't know. They've done such a good job with making Steve Maclin. Again, I'm not comparing anyone to Stone Cold, but he's in that vein where you just want to root for him because you know what I mean. He's that guy. He's not asking for help. You know what I mean. And there's just certain things. Steve Maclin's a natural babyface to me, but I thought this was good. And again, the Jake Sunday Kazarian one's interesting because I think will kind of silence the people who think Jake needs something. But putting him with Kazarian, I think is the right move. But what do you think about both these promos?
Yeah, this was a good way for to establish Maclin's current reign. I love he brought up the current defenses he had from something to Warner, Cardona, and letting Frankie know that that he likes to call himself the king, but Maclin, he's the one that's kind of leading the brand and stuff. So it really kind of builds up towards the event match between him and Kazarian.
Exactly.
And speaking of Kazarian, later on he meets with Jake something. Jake coming off the 4-way match, and Frankie. This is a very interesting one. Frankie, as cocky as he is, arrogant, he brought up like good pointers that something has all the Jake has all the tools, but he's kind of missing something, no pun intended, and whatnot. So Frankie kind of offered Jake, I guess, to learn by his tutelage of like how to get ahead here and So basically, like Frankie's looking for a new ally.
Yes.
once Jake gets to consider it. It'll be interesting where this goes to. I know I mentioned our group chat. At this point with Jake, something like I think they just need to like find something at least. No, he's guaranteed on TV, and he's on a program or whatnot. Like for example, with Order 4, the Great Hands and Tasha, like
Mhm.
being cited by Wood Mustafa, has really kind of got them more featured and in TV and matches. So, and Frankie, for their credit, he's on the show every week, whether it's on commentary segments, the King speech, da da da. Which the King speech next Thursday. Uh, so I don't know where they're gonna go with this, but I think, yeah, for Jake something in particular, I think should be pretty interesting.
Mhm.
What you
Yeah,
think of this?
I think this is the right move pairing them together. So I would. That's the move I would go. It's the direction I would go.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna finally move into our main event, which, like I said, kind of going into the show, I think the Order 4 kind of versus system is one of the hottest things we have going into in TNA right now. And so I thought this was a really fun match. What did you think about this main event?
Yeah, this was a good match. Despite having Ryan Nemeth in it. Shout out to the system's new theme with Montezi, Chris Bay. Very very good. Yeah, very good track. The system's new theme. Yeah, this was a very fast paced standard tag match. Obviously Nick doing most of the work. Um, yeah, taking most of the hits. Eddie and Myers, being two great pro wrestlers. Both teams former tag champions. Yeah, a lot of good reversal offense and whatnot. Yeah, towards the match, yeah, just when I think like the system was gonna get the win. Yeah, Order 4 comes down, the Gray Hands distracted. Come to distract Eddie, and then Myers took away. Eddie went for the dive on the Gray Hands. Went try to get back into the match. Myers takes care of Ryan Nemeth, and then Nick Nemeth super kicks Eddie with the danger zone. Then 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this was a good way to keep up the feud between Order 4 and the system, and also build up the Nemeths for their contract. I mean for their tag title rematch coming up.
Mhm. Yeah, no, you have to do two. I know, so spot on. Like I was gonna say, like bookings, like almost that's not an exact science. I'm not calling it a science, but you got to make sure that like you're covering your bases with multiple storylines here. The Nemeths going to a title shot, you don't want to have them lose. It's okay for the system to lose, especially if it comes after an Order 4 distraction. So I thought this was everything they did here was brilliant because we're trying to tell multiple stories. But yeah, the right team won. We're setting up multiple angles. After the match, the Nemeths kind of announced their rematch clause. The Hardys come out. We know where we're going. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And I don't. Again, did they say that the rematch? Are they doing that next week?
Yeah, next week.
Yeah, next week.
And I fully believe the Hardys to lose the titles. I think the Nemeths, despite what people think, are a very underrated heel team, especially in TNA. We know the things with Jeff. I don't think they'll be a victory road. So yeah, I expect the title change next week. And again, I have no problem with that.
Yeah. I mentioned, I don't think the Hardys need the tag titles, especially going to their feud with Team 3D coming up. So it'll be interesting, who gets the win next week, the Hardys and the Nemeths. Speaking of the Hardys, they come down to confront the Nemeths after what happened last week. The Nemeths attacking them and super kicking Mara Sade. Nemeths leave the ring. That's about it for. So next Thursday should be interesting. Tag title match. We also have knockouts trios action. The Elegance brand against the Inspiration and Masha Slamovich. Mustafa versus Myers. Yeah. and
Danny versus Indy.
Yep, Indy versus Danny, and the King's Speech.
Yeah, which we should have mentioned. That's top billing right there. Yeah, a lot of knockouts, heavy. That's always a good thing. I think Brian Myers will live up to his name, the most professional wrestler. I think him and versus Ali. I think
that's gonna be very interesting.
Yes, but yeah, overall good show. Again, Victor Road's heating up fast with BFG looming. I think we're gonna have some good things going into Victory Road. It sounds like the tickets are moving. It sounds like they've surprised a lot of people. The numbers are good, so yeah, I'm looking forward to Victory Road.
Me too. And then Bound for Glory 2 weeks after that. So things are very pacing up.
Okay, well, with that being said, I want to thank you guys all for joining. I want to thank Io as always for joining. I want to make sure let everyone know. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to this video. Subscribe to Body Slam whenever we go live, or whenever any of the great people at Body Slam go live. But with that being said, I want to say thank you all. Io, final thoughts?
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, keep watching Thursday's Impact. Very good show. Very good show. It's a very good show Thursday. Yeah, looking forward.
All right, spot on, Io. I completely agree. You got to make sure you keep watching. Not only us, but keep watching TNA. We're heating up. This is Bound for Glory season. You don't want to miss an episode. But with that being said, I want to thank everyone for joining, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.